Hi, everyone, and welcome to our podcast series for September Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. We're interviewing families and patients who have gone through childhood cancer. Our guest today is Michele Metzgar, mother of Shane. To start off, could you tell us about Shane?
Sure. Shane was our third child. He was born July 11th, 2013. He was the happiest and healthiest of all of our children at the time. We had a 3-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son that were his siblings. When he was 8 months old, we were changing his diaper and noticed that there were two lumps in his groin area. And I sent him to the pediatrician, and they thought that it was a double inguinal hernia. And so they referred us to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia to see a general surgeon. And we went to see the general surgeon, and that meeting took a lot longer than we had anticipated. We were in the waiting room for a significant amount of time. And when the surgeon brought us back, he looked at us and was like, "This isn't a hernia. I'm going to have to refer you to someone else." And then they immediately shuffled us down to urology. And the urologist looked Shane over and was like, "He's super healthy." He called him the Gerber baby. Shane had never had a fever. He had never been sick prior to this. And he was confident that he just had swollen lymph nodes. So he sent us home and said to check back in, I think it was a week. And then when we came back in a week, he was like, "Yeah, I don't know. He still looks great. Like, let's do some blood work." And the blood work came back fine. And at that point, he was like, "We need to refer you to some really smart doctors in infectious disease." So then we went to infectious disease, and they put him on an antibiotic called clindamycin, and he was only on it for about a day, and it looked like the lumps had doubled in size. So we returned, and my husband was getting really panicky, and he was like, "What if this is leukemia or something?" And she just looked at us and then referred us to oncology.
Yeah, that's
And yeah, so it took like almost an entire month. It was like we started that journey on March 9th of 2014, and we did not go to urology, or I'm sorry, to the oncology unit until March 22nd. And then when we went to the oncology floor, I just remember sitting there and looking around and just being like, "How are we here?" And ironically, the doctor that we saw, I used to work with, because I was a research scientist, and he had done a rotation where I had previously worked. And he's like, "I'm really sorry, but your son has cancer." And it was just like such a brief meeting. And then they wanted to directly jump into getting MRIs and biopsies. And it was like, after that entire roller coaster, everything was immediate.
it's pretty crazy of a journey.
Yeah. And he was a great patient. Like, for being as young as he was, he kind of just went with the flow. So from there, he did get an MRI. And I mean, we still kept in touch with the urologist. He was convinced that it could have been maybe like an autoimmune disease because they can be difficult to diagnose. But it did, in fact, reveal that he had cancer. And unfortunately, he didn't have a good kind. So he was diagnosed at 8 months old with stage 4 alveolar rhabdomyosarcoma, and was given a less than 1% chance of surviving. So the way that they approach that with us is, you sit down and you have a meeting. We actually had an outside friend come and take the notes, because in that type of situation, you're not hearing everything. So it's best to go back and like have have another ear there, have someone else there taking the notes. And they weren't sure how he would be able to withstand the chemotherapy. So they were giving us the choice of whether we were to pursue treatment which the only treatment they had was a maintenance protocol of chemotherapy. They could not do surgery because of the location, and they didn't want to do radiation at the time. So chemotherapy was the only option we were given, or we were to do nothing. And if we did nothing, he would live maybe a couple more weeks. So we decided to go and do the chemotherapy route. And Shane survived an extra 1 year and 2 days. And he had zero reaction to chemotherapy. He was only sick with RSV once during his whole journey. So, I mean, we were really blessed to have that extra time with him.
Yeah, that's definitely a big improvement from just a few weeks.
Mhm.
So you mentioned earlier that you're a research scientist.
I used to be.
Uh,
I've been a stay-at-home mom since my daughter was born. She's now 14.
uh,
Um, we went on after Shane passed. I have currently a almost 8 year old son and a 5 year old daughter. So I chosen to just stay home and be with my kids after everything that we went through with Shane.
yeah. Do you think that impacted your perspective at all?
Most definitely. I mean, at the time when I had Shane, before he was even diagnosed, I was getting ready to go back into the workforce and I was interviewing, and I wasn't going to return to doing research. I had gotten my master's in public health. So from from that time and the time that I spent with Shane going through all this and the journey, we established our own nonprofit called Shane's Future Days, and I handle that, and I handle all the fundraising with that. And I was a board member for CCTDI, and I'm currently the board chair. So I do a lot of extracurriculars besides managing my household, which is kind of crazy because I have a senior and a kindergartner now for this upcoming school year. And I am looking to go back into the workforce now that my youngest is going to be in school full time. But it was just really important for me to be here for them. I mean, my husband and I's biggest concern was how Shane's diagnosis impacted our older children and how to get them to survive after the loss of him, because studies have shown that siblings who have a loss like that can have like a riskier lifestyle choices as they get older. They are impacted more greatly with mental illness. So a unique part of our journey was, CHOP was wonderful, but we also wanted to make sure that we got a second opinion, that we were doing everything that we were supposed to be doing. So in September of 2014, we were scheduled to go up to Dana-Farber in Boston to have a second opinion. And that's when Shane got RSV, and we were isolated in the hospital for a week. So that visit got pushed till November. And when we went up there, that oncologist just so gracefully said, like, this is the wind before the storm. Like, it's been a great journey. And sometimes in situations like this, you have to look at the positive. And the positive was how well Shane adapted to his treatments and the time that we had with him and the quality of life that he had. But it was about to take a turn, because while the chemo was working, right before we went, they redid his scans and they found that the tumor was returning, and there were additional tumors on top of that, because with rhabdomyosarcoma, like, it always returns. And it did. Shane passed in March 30th, 2015. So when we got back, CHOP had already had the report. They knew what the doctors had said to us. And it's the same thing that CHOP had told us in the very beginning. We just didn't want to hear it. And we're still grateful for that. And so we asked for help with our oldest kids, and then they involved like the child life specialists. So they started coming to our house on a weekly basis, doing art therapy with the two older children. And they worked with Shane too, but Shane wasn't really into getting his hands dirty. He didn't like art. And he really, at that time, and progressively as he got sicker, he just wanted to be held by me. But it was really important for my older kids to have that. And then once Shane passed, they continued to come for an entire year to check on them, to make sure that they were doing well. They even went to my son's school to talk to the parents of his classmates and and do an activity with the classmates so that they could understand what we were going through and how to support, how everybody could be supportive.
That sounds really amazing.
Yeah,
So could you tell us about Shane's future days?
sure. So our friends helped us establish that when Shane was, you know, still sick. So that was like December of 2014 is the establishment of Shane's Future Days. So our mission is to advocate, support awareness, research, and families who are affected by non-curable childhood cancers. So CCTDI is our research partner, and all our money that we raise for research goes there. And then we're also connected with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia with their PAC team, this bereavement team that came in and helped support our older children. We created a music program called Shane's Beats from the Heart, where we hire a music therapist that goes into people's homes whose children are on palliative care and records their heartbeats, and then works with siblings and like the parents to create a piece of music that they later put the heartbeat to, and it's like a forever keepsake.
That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
So what do you think are the next steps and how will you and your family continue honoring Shane?
So our whole thing is to not have shame and what we have happen be bigger than our children who are living right now. So everything that we do has to be agreed upon in our house. Our older children do their own thing. So my eldest is going to be 18, and in 2016 he had decided that he wanted to do his own thing to honor Shane. So he started doing a lemonade stand at the New Jersey shore where our family has a beach house, and he did that and continues to do that. We just missed 2 years because of COVID, and then he started it, and then Ella got old enough to participate, and now the two littles participate, and they've raised over $12,000 for childhood cancer research just doing their lemonade stand. And then the kids are involved in Abingthon at their local high school, who also honor Shane's Future Days as a charity that they fundraise for. So it's like mimicked after Thon at Penn State University. And the kids raise money throughout the year. And then they do 10 hours in a gym where they don't sit at all. And they do different games, and they have family hour, and we come and talk about our family's journey. And we participated in that in 2015 when Shane was still alive, and he passed away 2 weeks after we talked. So we've been doing that as a family. But now that my kids are old enough, they've been involved with that, and my son holds leadership positions in that organization. And then we do annual fundraisers every year, every other year, depending on how it fits in our time frame.
That sounds really awesome. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for having me. And thank
Yeah.
you for doing this for CCTDI. It's great. I've heard so much positive feedback from Charles and everybody about it. So thank you.